Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about lesson 20, which is exponents and finding area. We're going to jump right into it. Exponents are these little tiny numbers that are up here. And what that is saying is you take this is the base. Okay, this is your base. This is your exponent. Exponent. Beautiful. And what that is saying is, hey, we're going to do this base 2 times. So 2 times 2, which gives us 4. Here's another good example. So 4 squared, what that is saying is 4 times 4, which equals 16. 4 times 4, which equals 16. 2 to the third, now this is tricky. It is not, a common mistake that I see is like 4 squared would be 8. Common mistake, okay? It would not, it's 16, all right? So the 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, okay? Let's see about 10 to the 5th power. That's 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Well, we know that 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, right? And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros gives us 100,000. 100,000. So however many, whatever number this is, so if it's like 10 to the 17th power, it's going to be 1 with 17 zeros. Okay? All right, let's see about some of these other guys. Let's do, fractions. 2 to the third squared. What that is saying, and guys, make sure you're writing this down, it's 2 squared and 3 squared on the bottom. Now remember, 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4, and 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9, so 4/9. Okay? All right, so the next thing, we're talking about area, right? And we have a rectangle here, and let's say that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's 5 by 1, 2, 3, 5 by 3, right? 5 by 3. Let's say it's 5 inches by 3 inches, okay? In order to find the area of a rectangle, make sure you write this down, star it, highlight it, circle it. This is going to be a big one. You're going to take the length times the width. The length of this guy times the width or the height. You can say it that way too. And what that is 5 inches times 3 inches, which means our area is 5 times 3 is 15. Inch times inch is inch squared. Inch times inch is inch squared. So the area would be 15 inches squared. 15 inches squared. All right, so let's take a look at these guys here. Let's look at example number 3. What is the area of this rectangle here? And it looks like this, 5 inches, which means this is 5 inches, and 3 inches, 3 inches. Now guys, remember perimeter is adding up all the sides, right? We're not finding the perimeter, we're finding the area, which equals length times the width. The length is 5, the width is 3. Oh, I literally just did this problem. Area equals 5, I was making it up before, but okay, 5 times 3, which is 15 inches squared, Guys, a common time that you'll hear about inches, I don't know if it's just me, I'm selling my house right now, and so you go to if your parents have ever had to like do any housework or anything like that, if you go to the store and you want to replace your floor, right, you buy carpet or wood or tile in feet squared, right? So I have this front room that I teach out of, and it is 10 by 13. That's 10 one direction, 13 in the other, 10 feet by 13. And I need hardwood floor for it, right? I go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace or whatever, and I say, hey, I need 130 square feet of flooring. So square feet is the same thing as feet squared, like that, okay? And then they can help me from there. So, and that was because I multiplied that 10 times that 13. All right, so a square is a type of rectangle, okay? A square is a type of rectangle. Let's say that it's 12 inches right here. Well, guys, that means that this is 12 inches right here, right? So this is inch, right? So if that's 12 inches by 1 inch, 12 inches by 12 inches, we're gonna get 144 inches squared. squared, 144. But the key part on this is if it's a square, all the sides are going to be the same. So keep remembering that. Okay, for number 5, it says Dickerson Ranch is a level plot of land 4 miles square. 4 miles square means 4 miles by 4 miles. Okay, 4 miles by 4 miles. How many square miles is that? Well, we take 4 times 4 and we get 16 miles, and miles times miles gives us miles squared. Okay, miles squared. Excellent. All right. So example number 6, guys, we talked about exponents, right? Here's what I want you to do in your notebook. You need to write these guys down because you're going to have them for quite a bit. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared equals 9. These are called our perfect squares, if you want to write that at the top. Perfect squares. Okay, perfect squares. 4 squared equals 16 because that's 4 times 4. 5 squared equals 5 times 5 is 25. 6 squared equals 36. 7 squared equals 49. 8 squared equals 64. 9 squared equals 81. 10 squared equals 100. 11 squared equals 121. 12 squared equals 144. 13 squared equals 169, and this is how I remember it because 14 squared equals 196. Then 15 squared equals 225. So 1 through 15, guys, you want to have this somewhere, flag it so that you can flip back to it, right? Because these are going to be really helpful. You're going to be referencing these quite a bit. Okay, so the opposite of squaring something, so see we have squared, squared, squared. The opposite of squaring something is to square root it. Square root it. So if I take the square root of 64, look back at your chart of perfect squares and you'll see that 8 squared gives me 64, okay? If I take the square root of 121, that's the perfect square of 11 squared. That's the square root, okay? Good, so practice problems on 107. Make sure you do those and then come on back and we'll see if we can't do those together. A is 4 to the 3rd, which equals, and these are how this is how your work needs to look, guys. Needs to look, okay. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 gives me 64, okay. B, 1/2 squared equals 1/2 times 1/2. Remember when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom, we get 1 over 4, 1 over 4. C, 10 to the 6th power. Remember this trick. It is 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So it's 1 million. D, in the expression 10 to the 3rd, what number is the base and what is the exponent? This guy right here is your base. This is your exponent. Okay, exponent. All right. 4E. Square root of 100 equals, look at your chart, 10. F, square root of 400. Now, knowing that, the square root of 4 is 2, right? So this is going to be 20 because it's 20 times 20 would be 2 times 2 is 4 with 2 zeros, right? G, oh, this is a fun one. The square root of 15 squared, guys, this 15 squared, right, is 225, right? But the square root of 225 is 15. So guys, all it is this cancels out with that guy. So your answer is 15. Your answer is 15. All right, so let's see about, okay, so let's move on to H. H is, find the area of the rectangle. It's 15 meters by 10 meters, which means it's going to be 150 meters squared. Guys, notice that that's meters, not miles. Miles abbreviation is MI, okay? Be very clear about that. With all of these, you must have a unit. You will get it marked wrong if you do not. I, this is 5 inches by 2 inches, which equals 10 inches squared. J, 4 centimeters, centimeters by 4 centimeters. So this one's a square, right? is 16 centimeters squared. Okay, if the perimeter of a square is 20 meters. Now guys, remember the perimeter is adding up all the sides. Well, we know that this is a square because they just told us. And the deal with a square is that it's 4 sides, right? And they're all exactly the same. Well, if it is 20 centimeters, if we divide 20 by 4, that means this has to be 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, right? Those all have to be 5 centimeters. It's asking what the area would be then. If that's the case, 5 times 5, 5 centimeters, times 5 centimeters equals 25 centimeters squared. 25 centimeters squared. Okay, and that was K. So, and for L, what is the area of a park that is 100 yards square? 100 yards square means it's going to be 100 yards here, 100 yards here. Okay, so 100 times, oh, how about we use our units? 100 yards times 100 yards equals, that's 1 with 4 zeros, 10,000 yards squared. All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, great work and good job on exponents and area, and we'll see you in class. Thanks.